I will be still a moment and go home. I will be still a moment and go home. I will be still a moment and go home. I will be still a moment and go home. That's our frame. Think about that being still for a moment as being the frame that you put around this world, that you enter in through that frame. Maybe you think of that frame as the frame of a doorway, and that you're going to enter into the new world, the holy instance, all happening in the present. But we need to take that time. That's why I so encourage you to do your meditation in the morning and again in the evening for at least 5 minutes, and then an hourly remembrance today, saying to yourself, I will be still a moment and go home, or I will be still an instant and go home. That's how I learned it out of the Foundation for Inner Peace's version. I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're reading out of the original edition, A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students, and the text. And we're here on Lesson 182, halfway through the year, huh? I will be still a moment and go home. Lesson 182, here on Saturday, July the 1st, 2023. This world you seem to live in is not home to you. And somewhere in your mind you know that this is true. A memory of home keeps haunting you as if there were a place that called you to return. Although you do not recognize the voice, nor what it is the voice reminds you of, yet still you feel an alien here, from somewhere all unknown. Nothing so definite that you could say with certainty you are an exile here. Just a persistent feeling, sometimes not more than a tiny throb, at other times hardly remembered, actively dismissed, but surely to return to mind again. No one but knows whereof we speak. Yet some try to put by their suffering in games they play to occupy their time and keep their sadness from them. Others will deny that they are sad and do not recognize their tears at all. Still others will maintain that what we speak of is illusion, not to be considered more than but a dream. Yet who in simple honesty, without defensiveness and self-deception, would deny he understands the words we speak? Wow, that there's a little nagging feeling that we're just not at home. Reminds me of what Jesus said when he said the foxes have their dens and the birds of the air have their nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. This isn't our home. We take our home with us, though. He's going to explain this. We speak today for everyone who walks the world, for he is not at home. He goes uncertainly about in endless search, seeking in darkness what he cannot find, not recognizing what it is he seeks. 1,000 homes he makes, yet none contents his restless mind. He does not understand, he builds in vain. 1,000 homes he makes, yet none contents his restless mind. Now, me being a home builder, that's a very appropriate reminder. 1,000 homes he makes, yet none contents his restless mind. He does not understand, he builds in vain. The home he seeks cannot be made by him. There is no substitute for heaven. All he ever made was hell. Perhaps you think it is your childhood home that you would find again. The childhood of your body and its place of shelter are a memory, now so distorted that you merely hold a picture of a past that never happened. Yet there is a child in you who seeks his father's house and knows that he is alien here. This childhood is eternal. This childhood is eternal, with an innocence that will endure forever. Where this child shall go is holy ground. It is his holiness that lights up heaven and that brings to earth the pure reflection of the light above, wherein are earth and heaven joined as one. It is his holiness that lights up heaven and that brings to earth the pure reflection of the light above, wherein are earth and heaven joined as one. It is this child in you your Father knows as his own Son. It is this child who knows his Father. He desires to go home so deeply, so unceasingly, his voice cries unto you to let him rest a while. He does not ask for more than just a few instants of respite, just an interval in which he can return to breathe again the holy air that fills his Father's house. Listen to that sentence again. He does not ask for more than just a few instants, just that little short period of time where you cease the movement of the world and the thinking of the world, and you escape through that doorway, that frame that you've set up in time, that leads out of time to the holy instant that's always occurring. That frame that you set in this illusion of reality becomes reality itself as you enter it. He does not ask, this little child, he does not ask for more than just a few instants of respite, just an interval in which he can return to breathe again the holy air that fills his Father's house. You are his home as well. He will return. But give him just a little time to be himself within the peace that is his home, resting in silence and in peace and love. But give him just a little time to be himself, this little child in you, within the peace that is his home, resting in silence and in peace and love. Now that sentence ought to motivate you to take your quiet time in the morning and of the evening. But give him just a little time to be himself within the peace that is his home, resting in silence and in peace and love. No work to do, just rest. This child needs your protection. He is far from home. He is so little that he seems so easily shut out, his tiny voice so readily obscured, his calls for help almost unheard amid the grating sounds and harsh and rasping noises of the world. Yet does he know that in you still abides his sure protection. You fail him not. He will go home and you along with him. This child is your defenselessness, your strength. He trusts in you. He came because he knew you would not fail. He whispers of his home unceasingly to you, for he would bring you back with him, that he himself might stay and not return again where he does not belong and where he lives an outcast in a world of alien thoughts. But his patience has no limits. He will wait until you hear his gentle voice within you, calling you to let him go in peace along with you to where he is at home, and you with him. Wow, he waits in patience, yet he holds the might of the universe. Listen what it says of him. When you are still an instant, when the world recedes from you, when valueless ideas cease to have value in your restless mind, then will you hear his voice. So poignantly he calls to you that you will not resist him longer. And poignant means evoking a keen sense of sadness or regret. So poignantly he calls to you that you will not resist him longer. In that instant he will take you to his home, and you will stay with him in perfect stillness, silent and at peace. Beyond all words, untouched by fear and doubt, sublimely certain that you are at home. Rest with him frequently today, For he was willing to become a little child, that you might learn of him how strong is he who comes without defenses, offering only love's messages to those who think he is their enemy. He holds the might of heaven in his hand, and calls them friend, and gives his strength to them, that they may see he would be friend to them. He asks, but they protect him, for his home is far away, and he will not return to it alone. What a beautiful paragraph, paragraph 9. Let's read it once again. Rest with him frequently today, for he was willing to become a little child, that you might learn of him how strong is he who comes without defenses, offering only love's messages to those who think he is their enemy. He holds the might of heaven in his hand, and calls them friend, and gives his strength to them, that they may see he would be friend to them. He asks but that they protect him, for his home is far away, and he will not return to it alone. He's going to take everyone with him, because he's going to see that we're all in this together. We all are our Father's children. We're all brothers. Christ is reborn as but a little child each time a wanderer would leave his home. For he must learn that what he would protect is but this child, who comes defenseless, and who is protected by defenselessness. Go home with him from time to time today. You are as much an alien here as he. Take time today to lay aside your shield, which profits nothing, and lay down the spear and sword you raised against an enemy without existence. Christ has called you friend and brother. He has even come to you to ask your help in letting him go home completed and completely. He has come as does a little child who must beseech his father for protection and for love. He has come as does a little child. Have you done that? Are you coming as a little child? Your Christ in you does. The child who comes, he has come as does a little child who must beseech his father for protection and for love. He rules the universe, and yet he asks unceasingly that you return with him and take illusions as your God no more. In the last paragraph of the lesson, you have not lost your innocence. It is for this you yearn. This is your heart's desire. This is the voice you hear, and this the call which cannot be denied. The Holy Child remains with you. His home is yours. Today he gives you his defenselessness, and you accept it in exchange for all the toys of battle you have made. And now the way is open, and the journey has an end in sight at last. Be still a moment and go home with him, and be at peace a while. Oh wow, let's that last sentence. And now the way is open, and the journey has an end in sight at last. Be still a moment and go home with him, and be at peace a while. Okay, let's go take a look in our text reading. And we're in chapter 19, Beyond the Body. And we're ready to pick up in paragraph 10. But let's start back in paragraph either 8 or 9. I'm not as sure. We'll decide in just a moment. I'm sitting out here in my garden. What on earth is going on today? I'll tell you a little bit about what I did in my garden. But first, it's American Zoo Day, Blink 182 Day, a rock band, Canada Day, which used to be called Dominion Day, and it celebrates the Canadian Federation that formed July 1st, 1867, Creative Ice Cream Flavor Day, Devotion to Duty Day. We should be devoted to the duty of being at peace, bringing our brothers and sisters home with us, as the Christ, or as the little child within us does. Be as little children, for such is the kingdom of heaven. So, devotion to the duty of our sadhana, our practice of being at peace. Early Bird Day. Early bird gets the worm. Estee Lauder Day, which basically is CEO found Fabrizio Freda, who was born July 1st, 2009. She's a young CEO, huh? The Estee Lauder family. Hop a Park Day. Explore the parks around you. International Cherry Pit Spitting Day. There's that cherry. We're going to talk about cherries in just a minute. International Cherry Pit Spitting Day. International Day of Cooperatives. International Joke Day. Eating and reading is a joke. International Reggae Day. National Deep Fried Clams Day. National Financial Freedom Day. National Ginger Snap Day. National GSA Employee Day, which is General Service Administration. National Play Outside Day. National Poster Workers Day. National Television Heritage Day. Resolution Renewal Day. So whatever you had your New Year's resolution, well, you're halfway through the year, you might reamp it. Second half of the year day, U.S. Postage Stamp Day, and Zip Code Day. And since it's National Cherry Pit Splitting Day, National Cherry Pit Spitting Day. I just had to do that for you. Okay, I want to talk about another cherry out of, this is out of Gurney's. And it's a trademarked variety, but boy, it sure sounds like a nice one. It's called the Romeo, the best for making juice. Larger, sweeter, and juicier than Carmen Jewel, but with the same great plant habit. You'll fall in love with this sweet-talking berry, deep crimson, full-sized, glossy fruit with high sugar levels for a tart cherry type, grown for its exceptional cold hardiness, manageable stature, and high flesh-to-pit ratio. This means more fruit per pound with less weight from the pits. Yields up to 25 pounds of fruit per plant, providing plenty for canning, winemaking, and of course fresh eating. Self-pollinating. For better yields though, plant with Waza, Juliet, or Carmen Jewel. Good in zones 2 through 7, so it goes way up there north. Matter of fact, it was developed in Saskatchewan, and we'll read about this Wanza probably tomorrow. We're here coming up soon. But the cherry Romero, it's a dwarf cherry tree. At first I thought it was a Prunus avium, but then as I got to looking closer, I found on gardengeek.com that it's a pie cherry, the Prunus cerasus, crossed with a dwarf ground cherry, the Prunus fruticosa. And that's your cherry Romeo cherry. Okay, let's go take a look in our reading. And I was telling you, I went ahead and worked those Yukon Golds, got about 3 gallons out of that circle. And then I planted stevia, basil, rosemary, what else? Pepper, cilantro, anyway, a couple other things. I think I got a melon in the middle. Anyway, I like to have my melons grow out, and then have all the other herbs, and I kind of keep everything pruned where they get plenty of light, and yet the melons do the mulching. Okay, we're ready. Let's start in paragraph 8. Truth and illusion have no connection. This will remain forever true, however much you seek to connect them. But illusions are always connected, as is truth. Each is united, a complete thought system, but totally disconnected to each other. Where there is no overlap, their separation must be complete. And to perceive this is to recognize where separation is and where it must be healed. The result of an idea is never separate from its source. The idea of separation produced the body and remains connected to it, making it sick because of its identification with it. You think you are protecting the body by hiding this connection, but this concealment seems to keep your identification safe from the attack of truth. Attack in quotes. If you but understood how much this strange concealment has hurt your mind and how confused your own identification has become because of it, you do not see how great is the devastation wrought by your faithlessness. Your faithlessness is an attack which seems to be justified by its results, For by withholding faith you see what is unworthy of it, and cannot look beyond the barrier to what is joined with you. 10. To have faith is to heal. It is the sign that you have accepted the atonement for yourself and would therefore share it. By faith you offer the gift of freedom from the past which you received. You do not use anything your brother has done before to condemn him now. You freely choose to overlook his errors, looking past all barriers between yourself and his and seeing them as one. And in that one you see your faith is fully justified. There is no justification for faithlessness, for faith is always justified. Faith is the opposite of fear as much as of love. Faith is the opposite of fear as much a part of love as fear is of attack. Faith is the acknowledgement of union. It is the gracious acknowledgement of everyone as a son of your most loving Father, loved by him like you and therefore loved by you as yourself. It is his love that joins you, and for his love you would keep no one separate from yours. Each one appears just as he is perceived in the holy instant, united in your purpose to be released from guilt. You saw the Christ in him, and he was healed because you looked on what makes faith forever justified in everyone. 12. Faith is the gift of God through him whom God has given you. Faithlessness looks upon the Son of God and judges him unworthy of forgiveness. But through the eyes of faith, the Son of God is seen already forgiven, free of all the guilt he laid upon himself. Faith sees him only now because it looks not to the past to judge him, but would see in him only what he would see in you. It sees not through the body's eyes, nor looks to bodies for its justification. It is the messenger of the new perception sent forth to gather witnesses unto its coming, and to return their messages to you. Faith is as easily exchanged for knowledge as is the real world, for faith arises from the Holy Spirit's perception, and is the sign you share it with him. Faith is a gift you offer to the Son of God through him, and wholly acceptable to his Father as to him, and therefore offered you. 13. Your holy relationship with its new purpose offers you faith to give unto each other. Your faithlessness had driven you apart, and so you did not recognize salvation in each other. Yet faith unites you in the holiness you see, not through the body's eyes, but in the sight of him who joined you and in whom you are united. Grace is not given to a body, but a mind. And the mind that receives it looks instantly beyond the body and sees the holy place where it was healed. There is the altar where the grace was given, in which it stands. Do you then offer grace and blessing to each other? For you stand at the same altar where grace was laid for both of you, and be you healed by grace together, that you may heal through faith. 14. In the holy instant you stand before the altar God has raised unto himself, and both of you lay faithlessness aside and come to it together. There you will see the miracle of your relationship as it was made again through faith. And there it is that you will realize that there is nothing faith cannot forgive. Nothing faith cannot forgive. No error interferes with its calm sight, which brings the miracle of healing with equal ease to all of them. For what the messengers of love are sent to do, they do, returning the glad tidings that it was done to you who stand together before the altar from which they were sent forth. As faithlessness will keep your little kingdom barren and separate, so will faith help the Holy Spirit prepare the ground for the most holy garden, which he would make of it. Let's read that sentence again. As faithlessness will keep your little kingdom barren and separate, so will faith help the Holy Spirit prepare the ground for the most holy garden, which he would make of it. For faith brings peace, and so it calls on truth to enter and make lovely what has already been prepared for loveliness. Truth follows faith and peace, completing the process of making lovely which they begin. For faith is still a learning goal, no longer needed when the lesson has been learned, yet truth will stay forever. And the last paragraph, 16. Let then your dedication be to the eternal, and learn how not to interfere with it and make it slave to time. For what you think you do to the eternal, you do to you, whom God created as his Son, is slave to nothing, being Lord of all along with his Creator. You can enslave a body, but an idea is free and capable of being kept in prison or limited in any way except by the mind that thought it. For it remains joined to its source, which is its jailer or its liberator, according to which it chooses as its purpose for itself. So use faithlessness and it will become your jailer, or use faith and it will become your liberator. Okay, well, let's see. We're how are we looking on time? That was a little longer. Anyway, we're good. I don't like to ever take more than 29 something minutes. Never more than 29 some seconds. I will be still a moment, and go home. I will be still a moment, and go home. I will be still a moment, and go home. I will be still a moment, and go home. I will be still a moment, and go home. I will be still a moment, and go home. So let's be sure to take those moments and go home. In this world, it might take the form of just sitting quietly with your eyes closed. And then you'll enter in through the doorway of forgiveness, the doorway where the child will lead you home, your inner child, the Christ in you. I will be still a moment and go home.